Hello, my name is Joe Halfman, and I'm a Senior Solution Consultant with fourTENS. This video is part 4 on the Accordion menu component built for K2 Smartforms. In a previous video, we looked at the details of the implementation of the Accordion menu, including the CSS and JavaScript. In this video, I'll be showing how to use database tables and a stored procedure to store configuration values for the menu, making it possible to create and customize as many menus as you need. The resulting database will also be the foundation for creating a user interface to manage these configurations. I'll cover the creation of that user interface in my next and final session on the Accordion menu. As a review, here's the desired layout for our single-page web application with the Accordion menu on the left-hand side. The Accordion menu table stores the overall configuration values for each menu. Along with a unique ID, menu name, and menu key, there are fields for the values for the various style settings for colors and font sizes. For example, we see the menu title background color, menu title border color, menu background color, etc. Now, these values correspond to the CSS variables used in the CSS styling that we reviewed in part 3 of this series. Now, the menu consists of two main parts. We have the sections, and then we also have the items. The Accordion menu item table stores the definitions for each section and item of the menu. The menu level field designates whether the record is for a section or item. For an item, the parent menu item ID is the ID of the section that the item is under. The final table is the Accordion menu support table. This table only has one record. The styles CSS field stores the CSS for styling the menu, and the other field is the scripts field, and it's used to store the JavaScript that supports the behavior of the menu. Keeping these values in a table provides the flexibility to easily make changes to the CSS or JavaScript. Next, I'm going to dive into the Sql Stored Procedure that uses these tables to render the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for the menu. So here's the stored procedure called Accordion menu HTML. It has 3 parameters. First one's going to be our menu key. As we saw in the configuration table, this uniquely identifies each menu. Then we're going to have a position top. This gives us the flexibility to determine the top position for our menu. And then also we have the menu width. Again, we're going to have the flexibility of determining how wide we want our menu to be. So let's take a look at this stored procedure and the details. First, we have our declaration section where we declare a bunch of different variables that we're going to use throughout the stored procedure. Two of the key ones actually are the section header template and the menu item template. What these are is the actual HTML that we're going to use that defines each of the elements for the sections and also each of the elements for the menu items. Within here, you'll see we have different values within this curly braces here. These are actually going to be replaced, as we will see later on in the stored procedure, with values that we're getting from the configuration for our menu. You'll see also we declared variables for each of those different menu configuration variables that are going to correspond to those CSS variables as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to load our menu configuration variables. So we're going to load each of the values from the table into our variables. Next, we're going to define that CSS variable declaration, and we're going to actually take those values and put them into that declaration. Therefore, we're going to have the full settings for our CSS variables. And then we're going to get the additional CSS that is used to define the styling for our menu. And then finally, we're going to get the scripts as well. So now what we're doing is we're building out all of the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that's going to be used to render the menu. Here we do a replacement within our script for our CSS for a position top and our menu width. Now the main processing is actually pretty simple. First, what we do is we declare a section cursor so that we can spin through each of the sections and then add the items. As you see here, there's just a lot of replacements that we do of those different value placeholders within that HTML template that we've defined. And so we go through and we do some conditional logic here to determine whether or not certain values get rendered or not. And then finally, we spin through each of the menu items themselves with another cursor. And all this is doing is it's basically replacing, and then we're going to append all of this HTML together so that finally what happens is we then are going to select our final HTML, which is set with inside a div. And that's it. So if we were to test this out really quick, you'll see what happens here is I'll execute it. And there we see the resulting HTML that was generated to render our menu. So simply by passing in a different key and perhaps positioning the top based on the size of your header and your menu width, you can generate the HTML quite easily. So this concludes this part 4 on the Accordion menu. Again, we took a look at the database that's used to allow us to have custom configurations for our menus. In the next session, I'll dive into how we actually create a Smartforms user interface to do the managing of the configuration of these menus. Thank you.